Gaze, would you kindly introduce these two devastating young ladies?
It will be my pleasure. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at two of the deadliest women in biblical history. On your left, Delilah, the woman who brought down Samson without ever lifting a blade. On your right, Jezebel, the queen who weaponized a weak king and unleashed destruction across a nation. And today, we're breaking down exactly how Delilah fooled Samson, how Jezebel gained control, and which woman was truly deadlier. Let's get into it. Before the names Samson or Ahab ever echoed across Scripture, there were two women whose presence reshaped everything they touched. Delilah, the assassin of intimacy. In the days when judges ruled, Israel's strongest enemy was not an army, it was compromise. And no woman embodied that weapon more completely than Delilah. She was not a warrior, she carried no blade, and yet she succeeded where battalions failed. Delilah lived in the valley of Sorek, a borderland, a place where identities blurred, where loyalties shifted, where a man could forget who he was if he stayed too long. She was approached by rulers, men who feared a warrior they couldn't defeat, men who knew brute force wouldn't work. So they sent no soldier, no general, no champion. They sent a woman, one whose strength was subtle, patient, and precise. Delilah was not chosen for beauty alone. She was chosen for her method. Her power was access. Her battlefield was the heart. Her weapon was the slow erosion of a man's guard. She didn't overpower, she outlasted. But Delilah was only one side of the coin. Long before Ahab's weakness was revealed, a different kind of woman stepped onto the stage of Israel's history. Jezebel, daughter of Ethbaal, princess of Sidon, raised in the courts of Baal's priests and kings. While Delilah mastered the art of drawing a man in, Jezebel mastered the art of taking a kingdom over. She didn't wait to be invited. She didn't wait to be loved. She didn't wait to be understood. Jezebel entered Israel carrying not seduction, but spiritual domination. She came from a culture where the ruler was also the priest, where authority and divinity were fused, where power was asserted, not shared. She brought that system with her, and the moment she arrived, the atmosphere shifted. Where Delilah dismantled a man in private, Jezebel dismantled nations in public. Her battlefield was the throne. Her weapon was the pen sealing decrees. Her method was the man who refused to lead. Before Ahab ever sat beside her, Jezebel had already learned how to rule through the silence of weak men. One conquered through comfort, the other conquered through command. One weakened the strongest man in Israel, the other weakened the nation that man was meant to defend. But before their stories collided with the men whose names history remembers, Delilah and Jezebel were already operating at full power, already assigned, already prepared, already lethal. This is where their stories begin, not with Samson, not with Ahab, but with the archetypes they embodied and the spiritual climates that made their rise inevitable. The stage before the fall. Before we can talk about the warrior or the king, we must understand the weapons these women carried, the tools that made their influence devastating long before they ever touched a man's life. Delilah, the weapon of intimacy. Delilah's strength was not her presence, but the space she created around a man's guard. Her entry point was always the same: closeness. Not loud, not forceful, not aggressive, but familiar, gentle, safe. She disarms by making a man feel seen, understood, admired, wanted. This is her battlefield. Her weapon is not seduction in the modern sense, but strategic softness. She conquers through warmth, emotional access, consistent attention, carefully timed questions, and the slow unraveling of a man's discipline. Delilah enters where a man longs to rest, not where he expects to fight. That is her genius. She doesn't rush the heart. She presses it, a little today, a little tomorrow, until resistance feels unnecessary and surrender feels natural. Delilah doesn't steal strength. She creates the environment where a man hands it over himself. This is why armies couldn't defeat her target, but she could. Her weapon works from the inside out. Jezebel, the weapon of domination. Jezebel's power is the opposite. She does not enter the heart, she enters the vacuum. Her weapon is not intimacy, but authority unchecked. Wherever leadership hesitates, Jezebel advances. Wherever conviction collapses, Jezebel establishes her will. Wherever a man refuses to speak, she speaks for him. She does not seduce emotion, she seduces responsibility. Her power is rooted in decisiveness, intimidation, rewriting narratives, using systems and signatures, enforcing outcomes while the rightful leader watches, and moving faster than hesitation can resist. Jezebel does not need affection. She needs access to influence, and she obtains it by filling every space a man abandons. His authority, his confidence, his direction, his voice. Delilah conquers by circling a man's desires. Jezebel conquers by replacing a man's leadership. Delilah targets weakness through comfort. Jezebel targets weakness through control. Where Delilah attacks the flesh, Jezebel attacks the throne. One collapses a warrior, the other collapses a kingdom. There's a damn good reason Paul said it is better to not touch a woman. Delilah didn't beat Samson with force. She beat him with access. She didn't seduce him once, she wore him down. Every question was calculated. Every moment was timed. Every touch was designed to make him forget who he was. Jezebel didn't seduce Ahab. She replaced him. Her weapon wasn't softness, it was domination. Ahab's weakness wasn't lack of power, it was lack of conviction. Every time he hesitated, she led. Every time he retreated, she advanced. Every time he stayed silent, she ruled through his crown. Jezebel didn't need Ahab's strength. She only needed his absence. Through him, she commanded armies, slaughtered prophets, shifted a nation, and secured her own agenda. Where Delilah destroys a man privately, Jezebel destroys what the man leads publicly. Delilah wins by emotional intimacy, making you feel understood, making you feel chosen, giving you comfort you didn't pray for, offering softness that lowers your guard. Her power is consistency, not chaos. Jezebel enters wherever a man refuses to lead. Her tactics: intimidation, guilt, shame, decisive action when the man stays still, emotional manipulation, rewriting the narrative, ruling with the authority he abandoned. She doesn't seduce your appetite, she seduces your avoidance. Which woman was deadlier? Delilah was a precision weapon. She neutralized a single target through patience, access, and erosion. She succeeded where armies failed, not because she was stronger, but because her method matched the weakness of the man she faced. Delilah is dangerous, but Jezebel is catastrophic. Here's why. Samson was easy pickings. He was naive, sheltered, arrogant, overconfident in his strength, unaware of his own weaknesses. A man like that is destined to meet his equal. But Jezebel didn't just break a man. She broke a kingdom. She commanded armies. She redirected national culture. She ruled men through a throne she never earned. She gained loyalty without legitimacy. That was not an easy task. That was mastery. And when measured by scope, impact, and consequence, Jezebel was deadlier, because the fall of one man is tragedy, but the fall of a crown reshapes generations. Judgment rendered.
There's an old saying my aunt used to say whenever she talked about progress. When you know better, you do better. And because of the authority God gave men, it is a blessing to tell you this truth. Your eye gates, your ear gates, your flesh gates, and your emotional gates, all of them must be guarded, because anyone left unattended becomes a wide invitation for the enemy. Both of these women took their target effortlessly, not because the men were weak, but because they lacked proper boundaries. Where Samson lacked discernment, Ahab lacked decisiveness. And here's the truth. Neither woman had real power. They simply walked through doors the men never closed. It is vital that you guard your gates. Not everyone deserves access to you. Yes, this walk can feel lonely, but who cares when the stakes are this high? You may not always understand what someone wants from you, but they usually know exactly what you want from them. So guard your gates. It might just save your life. Until next time.